All right, let's take a look at some of the homework they have to do for this module. First, it's on page 75, exercise 9.1, where you have to fill in the missing voices. It's a little mini progressions of 4 chords, and they involve first inversion. So I think we're in pretty good position to try to make this work. As always, it's a good idea to know what the chords are that you're trying to write. You can do this always on a piece of music paper if you need to. I'm going to do 2 examples. I'm going to use music paper for one, and the other one I'll just kind of do in my head to show you the 2 different ways that you can do it. So we're in the key of D, and I write the key signature of D, and I need a 1 chord. I need a 5 chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I need a 6 chord. So I'll just write those 3. That's D, F sharp, A, C sharp, E, and B, D, F sharp. Now some students might be getting to the point where you don't even need to write the names of the notes of the chords as you're doing this. You can keep that information in your head. But if at this point in time you can't do that, then you should write the names of the chords, the notes, right above them so you don't lose track of them. Okay, now in this particular example, I've got a few first inversion chords in a row. So I know it's going to be a little difficult to use the same guidelines for the doubling on all of these. So what I'm going to do is sort of progress along, go to the first inversion of the 1 chord, D, F sharp, A, put the 3rd in the bass, and go ahead and double the soprano. Here's the A. I'll put it right here. Nice common tone is always a good idea. So I've got F sharp, A, all I need is D. Now the next chord is a 5 chord in first inversion. So I'm going to go ahead and put the C sharp in the bass. Now I'm going to try to do the normal doubling here, which is to double the soprano. You should always look at that first because sometimes that'll just work out. So A, let's put another A. That's the doubled soprano. And then the other pitch I need is E. So actually that's just fine. I've got no parallels. I've got nice common tones. And I really would not want to double the C sharp in this chord, because that's a leading tone. In the key of D, you never want to double a leading tone. So that actually would be a mistake. Next, we'll go to the 6th chord in first inversion. That puts the D in the bass. So let's put the D here. And we'll go ahead and try to double the soprano, which is the F sharp. Now if I put the F sharp here, and I put the B here, I don't know if you can see it, but I'm going to get parallel fifths. So I would be much better off using an alternative doubling here. I'm going to go ahead and double the bass, and the D I'm going to double here, and the B I will put here. Again, I considered doubling the soprano, which is what I try to do in first inversion. But if I put the F sharp, if I put it here, then I would have doubled with the soprano. And if I had put the F sharp here, then I would have ended up with parallel fifths between the A and the B and the E and the F sharp. So sometimes you have to actually write it with pencil and find that you wrote a mistake, erase it, and then go back and do it again. All right, now here's the key of C minor. I'm going to go ahead and just write in the chord names, the note names. Actually, I don't need to do that one. I've already got those written in. Oh no, well, here's another one, the 1 chord. Let's go ahead and write it C, E flat, G. The 2 chord is D, F, A flat. And the 5 chord, remember I can always get that from here, is G, B, and D. So the 1 chord in first inversion means E flat goes in the bass. Try to double the soprano. So I took the C and put it in another voice, and the only missing note is the G. The 2 chord, I can see right away if I try to double the soprano here, I'm going to have parallel octaves, so I will be doubling not the soprano. Also notice it's a diminished triad, so you definitely don't want to double the soprano. You're going to be wanting to double the bass, because the bass, that's the rule for diminished triads. So let's see what we've got. D, F, A. We'll take the F and put it in the bass. We'll go ahead and double the bass, because that's what you do with diminished triads in first inversion. And the missing note is A flat. There we go. And the last one is 5, G, B, D. So we put the G in the bass since it's root position. We double the G. Now, you could double the G here. That's possible if you put another G here, but notice that you would have parallel octaves if you did that. You would have the F going to G, the F going to G. So I'm going to let the A come down to G and put the tenor and the bass on the same note. 2 Gs, a B, all I need is D. So there you go. So hopefully you're in good shape to go ahead and work your way through those. Here's a little longer example. I'm going to be using root position primary chords everywhere unless I'm told to do something different. So the only time I'm using an inversion is when they tell me to. The only time I'm using a secondary chord is when they tell me to. So I'm going to take a piece of music paper and set this up for myself so I don't get confused. This is the key of A. And let me go ahead and write my chords. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's my list of chords. I'm just going to fold that so that I can see that a little bit better. And now I need to harmonize this example. So 1, 1. This is a primary 1, 4, or 5 because it doesn't say secondary. Notice it's F sharp. The 4 chord has the F sharp. This is a G sharp, and it's a primary chord in root position, 1, 4, or 5. This 5 has the G sharp. The 5, instead of using 5 chords all the way through, or you know where 5 wants to go, it wants to go to 1. Let's see if it can. Oh, wait a minute, but it's asking me for a secondary chord. The secondary chords are 2, 3, or 6. We're not using any diminished chords yet. No 7 chords, that is. I'm not using those yet. So what could go here? Well, we know the 5 wants to go to 1, but it could also go to 6 because 6 is a good substitute for a tonic functioning chord. And the 6 chord has the A, so that's a perfect choice. Okay, now 5 is going to a C sharp, and it does not ask for a secondary, so I need a primary chord, 1, 4, or 5. 1 fits because it has a C sharp. Then a secondary chord, 2, 3, or 6, but it needs an A. This chord has an A, the 6th chord. And then the G sharp, it's a primary chord, the 5 chord. And then the A is the 1 chord for the ending. So I'm going to go ahead and start the voice leading here as well and get you started on this one. So a 1 chord going to a 1, 6. We'll put the 3rd in the bass, the C sharp. We'll double the soprano, because that's what you double, in first inversion major and minor chords, and then finish the chord. This is a root position chord. It's D, F sharp, and A. So I'm going to put the bass in first, which is D, and double it. We want to double the bass. So there's my D, my F sharp, and my A. Next, I'm going to go to a 4 chord in first inversion. D, F sharp, A. That'll put the F sharp in the bass. Double the soprano if you can. So A, A. The only note I don't have is the D. These are my pitches. Then I go to the 5 chord, and I want a root position chord. So E is the root tone. Here are my pitches: E, G sharp, and B. I want to double the bass. E, here's a good place for an E. G sharp, the only one I don't have is B. Then I make my 5 go to 5, 6, and all that means is this has got to be a G sharp because the third of the chord goes in the bass. Double the soprano because that's what I do for first inversion major and minor chords. So the B, I could either bring that down to B, but look at this, common tone, always a good idea. Missing pitch is E. There's E. And then the next chord I will do is go to the 6th chord, which is right here. F sharp, A, C sharp. Here's F sharp. Double the F sharp because we double the bass on root position chords. Missing pitch is F sharp, A. I don't have a C sharp, so we'll put that right here. Okay, so I got you started on this one. You can go ahead and finish it. Let's look at the next example you've got to do. This is the key of F minor. Only one secondary chord needed in this one, page 76. So let me get a piece of music paper and figure out my chords. For flats, and this is F minor. Let me go ahead and just write the chords quickly in this key. Remember to raise the leading tone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and raise the leading tone in the 5 chord. So 1, 2 diminished, 3 major, 4 minor, 5 major with a raised leading tone, 6 major, 7 diminished. And we're not going to use the, for these, we're not going to use the diminished chord yet. We'll wait for the diminished chords on the next page, actually next week's homework. So, same thing. You're going to write primary root position chords unless you're told otherwise. So 1, 4, or 5. Unless you see secondary, then you'll pick a secondary chord, and then if they want a inverted chord, it will tell you. So primary chord with E natural, that's the only one, 5. 5 wants to go to 1, but it asks for a secondary. Well, do you know what the secondary chord should be that would take the place of 1? You might already kind of know that a 6 chord functions as a tonic function, but we could check. You know, the note is an F, and for the secondary chords, the 2, the 3, or the 6, it seems like that 6 chord is going to be the best choice. The melody is B flat, and it's a primary chord in root position. 1, 4, or 5. There's the B flat on the 4 chord. Primary chord, 1, 4, or 5 in root position. A flat, probably going to be the 1 chord. 5 chord wants to go back to a 1 chord, doesn't it? I mean, the 5 chord wants to go to 1. Can it? This is an F. Yes, it can. A flat, the only primary chord that has an A flat is 1 chord again. I'm going to use that again. The B flat, primary chord, is the 4 chord. The G out of the primary chords is the 5 chord. The A flat, again, out of the primary chords, is the 1 chord, only one with an A flat. By the way, this is a little mistake here. This should not be a capital Roman numeral. It should be a small Roman numeral, so you should fix that if it looks that way. Phrygian half cadence. Do you remember what that is? That's 4/6 going to 5. So there's your progression. All you've got to do is voice lead it. And for number 3, make your own chart and go for it. See if you can figure out what the chords are supposed to be and see if you can voice lead them.